Men's basketball makes it to the second round of the Atlantic 10 tournament to play number 6 seed Davidson. Hello, I'm Jake Smolinski.
And I'm Anna Gomez. Softball has eked out a few wins to bring out their record to 4-10. Have they finally gotten to the swing of things? You're watching LaSalle CUP's home for Explorer Athletics, SportsLine.
Welcome to SportsLine, where we have a pretty solid show lined up for today. We have senior softball player Allie Waddington for an in-depth look at her unique path to D1 softball for On the Sidelines.
And Kevin Cook will join us on desk for some exploring headlines. And later, Joel Puritan joins us for Marquee Matchup.
But first, let's take a look at what went down this past week for our student athletes. So, wrapping up their indoor season at the ECAC Track and Field Championships in Boston, men's track finished 35th out of 42 teams with a total of 4 points. The sole scorer for the Explorers, senior Nick Libby, finished the 5,000 meter in 5th place. Bradley Hoyer finished the 3,000 meter in 19th place behind 4 ruthless Iona athletes that dominated the heats. Finally, a relay team consisting of Stephen Lewandowski, Ben DeVenzia, Nicholas Smart, and Chris Sanders finished in 9th place with a time of 7 minutes and 44.1 seconds.
Women's track and field also wrapped up their indoor season over the break by sending a few athletes to Boston. On the first day of competition, the relay team of senior Kate Conville, junior Sarah Deaver, senior Rebecca Scardelletti, and sophomore Efeteo Tyler finished 12th out of 17. In the 5,000 meter event, freshman Megan Connell pulled into the 10th spot for her section in just over 17 and a half minutes. She finished 23rd overall in the race. The final day of the contest, the distance relay team of Scardelletti, Tyler, sophomore Amber Jenkins, and freshman Caitlin Poez finished in 5th place out of 12 in their section and 12th out of 23 overall.
And men's tennis was swept again by a strong St. Louis team on March 4th. The men struggled in singles, having only sophomore Joseph Diorio make it to a third game. After losing 4-6 in his first round, he battled back in his second game, winning with a score of 6-2, only to fall short in his last game, 10-4. The day did not get any better for the men in doubles, and LaSalle fell short in all 3 sets by scores of 6-1, 6-2, and 6-0. This loss leaves LaSalle winless with their record now at 0-8.
Dead inside. If a 3-game series versus Presbyterian, the baseball team took Game 1 against the Blue Hose. Jared Maloney was the key player in this win. With the bases loaded in the top of the 7th, he ripped a 2-out double and knocked in 3 runs to take the lead. The men ended up slipping 1-2 in the series. In a 2-game set against the High Point Panthers, the Explorers fell 0-2. The Blue and Gold managed only a single point on Game 1, an RBI grounder that came off the bat of Connor Hinchliff. But the men finally picked up a series win against East Tennessee March 11th and 12th. In Game 1, the men were down 4-1 after 6, but Chase Arnold led the top of the 7th with a solo shot. Colin McGowan was next to bat and sent out a bomb to the seats for his first career homer. Arnold tied the game with a 2-out RBI single in the 8th. The men took the lead in the top of the 9th due to a Jared Malone 2-out double. In Game 1 of the doubleheader, the men fell short, but came up with a win in Game 2. LaSalle got their bats going in the 5th and loaded the bases to open the game up 7-2. Travis George then hit a bullet in the 6th to add on another run.
And the dreary gray weather was no threat to the Explorers Tuesday afternoon against Villanova. The crosstown rivals met at the Hank DeVincent, and LaSalle topped the Wildcats 3-1. Early on, Joey Ravert scored on his triple and a Villanova balk that gave the Explorers confidence going into the second. Then, freshman Brian Tago crossed home plate after walking late in the second. In the 4th, sophomore Giancarlo Rivera hit his first career home run to tally 3-1. The Explorers held on to that lead through the 9 innings, with Mike Anthony allowing just a single run, and Tom Vizzini, who came in on the mound late to close out the match.
Softball faced a 5-game tournament at the Liberty Classic on the weekend of March 11th. In Game 1 against Norfolk, the Explorers struggled early, allowing 2 runs before rallying and scoring 2 off a single of senior Kendra Heyer. LaSalle ran away with it in the 3rd, loading the bases and taking the game 6-2. but no such luck was had in the 2 games versus host Liberty. The Eagles scorched the Explorers in both, going 2-10 on Friday. Suzanne Swinicki scored the duo runs, but could not do anything for the rematch on Saturday when Liberty shut out the Explorers 0-9. The second win of the tournament came against Rhode Island 6-4, who scored 6 runs in the 2 innings to top the Rams, who were sitting pretty with 4 early runs. Michelle Haggerty had 2 RBIs on the day, including a score off an illegal pitch. LaSalle concluded its weekend on Sunday, suffering a 1-3 loss from Sacred Heart.
And the men's and women's rowing teams competed on Saturday, March 12th to open their spring seasons, racing Drexel and Villanova on the Schuylkill River. The Dragons would sweep the event, taking wins in all races for both men's and women's boats. For the men's team, the highlight of their day would be a second-place finish in the second varsity 4. LaSalle clocked in at 7 minutes and 36 seconds, 18 seconds behind first place. For the only women's boat to race, LaSalle's varsity 8 finished in third with a time of 7 minutes and 42 seconds, 32 seconds behind first place Drexel.
Women's lacrosse continued to struggle over the past 2 weeks. However, the team is beginning to get back on track. On March 8th, the Explorers played neck and neck with Robert Morris in their first home game of the season. The first half was dominated by sophomore Brittany Edwards, who scored her first 3 goals of the season. Caitlin Fay also added 2 assisted by Allie Elginfritz and Kate Fonte. The Colonials started a comeback near the end of the half and took advantage of the momentum. LaSalle stayed in the game until the end, but the Colonials capped off the win with a heartbreaking buzzer beater. The loss haunted LaSalle in their next game against UMBC. Despite the home field advantage on March 12th, there's not much to say other than UMBC is a scary squad. They destroyed LaSalle 19-4. No mercy. This brings the lacrosse team to 0-4.
And now our LaSalle men's golf team hasn't competed in about 2 weeks, but the last time they did was at the 2-day Cape Fear National Collegiate on March 15th and 16th. It was a good day overall for the 5 who traveled, taking 11th place out of 13 on Monday. Junior PJ Acerno had the best round on the team. Acerno shot a 73 in round 1 and tied for 29th overall with his 228 on day 2. And LaSalle beat out North Dakota and moved up to 10th. The Quintet golf team all shaved off points on their score, which gave them the advantage to finish out strong. But now, for the men's basketball regular season closer, the Explorers headed out to Amherst, Massachusetts to take on UMass, riding the momentum of that beautiful win at home against St. Louis. And sadly, the shooting that was just so contagious the game before went cold, and one of the lowest field goal percentages of their entire season. The Explorers were only able to be shooting a dismal 28.1% from the field, and considering UMass's Trey Davis scored 27 points while pulling down 12 rebounds in his final game at home, there was no way LaSalle could make it a win. Cleon and Yevgen were the only bright spots for the team as they took the loss 69-52. Oof.
The mindset definitely changed as the team headed to the Barclays Center in Brooklyn for the A10 tourney. First round, 14th seed LaSalle took on 12th seed Duquesne for a grudge match of sorts. And the Explorers came out swinging, with Jordan Price scoring 18 in the first half alone. Cleon also went 3 for 3 in threes and also nailed all of his 3 free throws for 13 in the first 2. The shooting was electric, and LaSalle's defense was in top form, stifling Duquesne's long-range shooting attack. As the second half wore on, Price and Roberts continued to keep the offense afloat, bringing the game to a beautiful 88-73 win over the Dukes. Price's 36 points in the game marked a new program record for the most points scored in a tournament game. But this success did not last long, as we had to take on 6th seed Davidson for the next game in the tournament. It did not go well. It looked a lot like the UMass game, and just like everyone always says, there is always next year. And I legitimately believe we will be a force to be reckoned with. That's about it. But now on to our weekly awards. Kevin Cook.
All right, let's get started. Both the men's and women's cross-country teams achieved all academic honors for the Sports Coaches Association for the 6th straight year after compiling team GPAs of 3.08 and 3.35 respectively. What's more, women's star Morgan Zeckley herself earned all academic honors thanks to her own 3.38 GPA. The sophomore earned the same distinction last season. Baseball's Joey Revert is now a finalist for the 2016 Senior Class Award along with 29 other student athletes in the country. The award is given to those who excel in 4 levels of collegiate life and sports: community, classroom, competition, and character. Revert has a long list of awards from his time at LaSalle and currently maintains a GPA of 3.64. The senior also volunteers regularly with clubs and events like the Midnight Run and the LaSallian Day of Service. The women's soccer team will say farewell to assistant coach Allie Nix in the weeks ahead after she accepted the head coaching job for the New Jersey Institute of Technology's program. Nix played for LaSalle as a student and helped the team tally wins and 6 ties in that span. Since she has taken the field, Nix played for LaSalle as a student and helped the team tally 39 wins and 6 ties in that span. Since she has taken the sidelines for the Explorers, the team has had a 79-27-11 record. This will be Nix's first head coaching job. Best of luck to her. As the newly added LaSalle sports prepare for their inaugural seasons this fall, women's water polo and golf are now one step closer to competing. Both have been added to the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference as associate members, and the Explorers will compete in the MAAC against teams like Siena, Quinnipiac, and Villanova.
Well, thank you, Kevin Cook.
Yeah, that was a mouthful there.
Yeah,
Clearly.
We have a lot of successful
apologize for that.
athletes. But now we're gonna. Thank you for those headlines. We're gonna do real quick some weekly awards. First is Chase Arnold, who's in baseball. He was named Big 5 Player of the Week. The sophomore batted .400 in the Explorers 4-game series against LaSalle, against East Tennessee State. Arnold also added a homer and 6 RBIs in that stretch. Andrew Reynolds of the men's golf team also nabbed another A10 Rookie of the Week honor, this time thanks to his performance in the A10 match play earlier this month. The freshman shot impressively to go 2-0-1 through that series.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, thank you, though, Kevin, for coming on. Way too much going on. And so, yeah.
But this takes us to our first break. But when we come back, we'll have Jake's wonderful interview with Allie Waddington of the softball team. So stick around.
Ooh, we'll be all right. Welcome back, and it is just about time for another episode of On the Sidelines. And so I got the chance to sit down with Allie Waddington, one of the most awesome athletes here at LaSalle University, incredible comm major, just, all-star person, just all together. But I got the chance to really learn a lot about just how she ended up on the team and also what's going to be going on for this season. So take a look.
Hi, I'm Allie Waddington. I'm a senior on the women's softball team here at LaSalle, and I'm an outfielder. So actually, coming in freshman year, I was a walk-on. So I originally didn't go through the recruiting process or anything like that, like some of the other girls have done. So I feel very fortunate, and I feel like I kind of was in the right place at the right time kind of thing, because Coach Ron, it was his first year, my freshman year, so he was coming in kind of trying to get to know everyone, and we were all trying to get to know him. So he really helped me out and kind of welcomed me onto the team as like his first walk-on at LaSalle. So looking back at the past couple of years that I've had to be a Division I athlete is something that I never thought I was ever going to be able to do. Now that it's my senior year, I've been playing softball my whole life, and these past 3 years at LaSalle have been incredible. We have it a little rough here, just because with the weather, we've been practicing a lot in the gym, which has been tough. I think we were all getting a little bit of that gym fever, and we're really excited to get on the field. But it's also tough because we have been in South Carolina so far, Florida, and Virginia. So we're playing teams who have obviously been practicing and have had a couple games under their belts, which is obviously puts us at in a rough spot because we're walking out of the gym pretty much onto a field. But I think so far we've been doing the best that we can be doing, and obviously with more practices, we'll be in good shape. One of our team goals is to make it back to the A10 tournament this year. We've made it the past 2 years, and every year we've been getting a little better and moving a little farther in the tournament, which has been great for the softball program here. As far as getting to play A10 teams, I think we're really excited. Some of our biggest rivals this year, SLU is always really good. St. Joe's is one of our biggest rivals too, just because they're our rival Philly school. Our first A10 game is actually against GW, George Washington, so we'll be traveling up there in a couple weeks. So I think we're just really excited to start our A10 play, because the games that we have been playing down in the South have been games that our goal is to just get prepared for that first A10 game against GW. Mary Kate is our only returning senior pitcher, so I think it's going to be a pretty big year for her because she has that experience being a senior, and she's been to the A10 tournament, has games in the A10 under her belt. A couple other girls who are coming back who I think should have pretty big years, Michelle Haggerty, who is our shortstop, and Christina Basquero, who's our third baseman. They both had really good seasons last year, so we're looking for them to step up again this year and have big seasons, as well as Susie Swaneke. We have 2 freshmen this year, Emma Schwagert, she's an outfielder, and Marlo Roadcap, who is a lefty pitcher. So I think those 2 should have really good seasons this year. Marlo, I think, needs to get a couple more games under her belt being a freshman, but I think she should branch out, and Emma's been doing great so far. Having Coach Ron and some of the girls believe in me and accept me onto the team that freshman year is something that I will always remember. And I've had such a great experience. Softball has been such a huge part of my time at LaSalle here, and I've learned so much, not only about myself, but about the game and life in general. Coach Ron is so good about, making sure that his team or his girls are involved in a lot of different things on campus, and he's helped me so much with that aspect too, not only being a LaSalle softball player, but he really cares about that student part of being a student athlete. So I can't say enough good things about the softball program here.
Thanks again to Allie Waddington. Really just a really awesome person to talk to and just get a bit of insight into, just softball and how difficult it's been or just how difficult it is every season. As like, especially like being up here in the north, our school, like we don't exactly have access for the softball teams to get out there on the field and play, and then they go down south.
Yeah.
It's pretty difficult because these teams have been playing year-round essentially, and you know it's good though to see that they're finally making a comeback, getting the 4 out of 10 games, and so it's gonna be exciting to see. Anyway, there is plenty of LaSalle sports action this upcoming week, so let us highlight the games ahead. Track and field will officially open their outdoor season in style at the Philly College Classic. They'll be taking on the likes of Lafayette, Lehigh, Holy Family, and Villanova at UPenn on the 19th.
Men's and women's tennis have a busy few weeks as they'll be facing the Rackets of Loyola on March 18th, George Mason on the 19th, and Rider on the 22nd. The men are 0-8 and the women are 0-5.
And rowing will continue their 2016 campaign with the Murphy Cup on the Schuylkill March 26th.
Men's golf stays local for the Nova Wildcat Invitational. The 2-day invite starts March 28th. Last year, the men dominated the green, taking 5th place, going just 24 over par in the 18-hole course.
And softball looks to close in on their 4-10 record at the UMBC Classic in Baltimore starting March 18th. They'll first take on Sacred Heart, who recently just turned them away at the Liberty Classic. On the 23rd, the Explorers have their last regular game before A-10 play against Penn in a doubleheader.
Baseball has a packed schedule of matchups at Hank DeVincent versus Canisius, St. Peter's, Sacred Heart, and Delaware State, starting March 28th through the 23rd. On March 22nd, the men will take a brief road trip to take on Delaware State. Wrapping up their regular play, the men have a doubleheader against St. John's on Friday 25th, and a March 29th Liberty Bell Classic game at Rider.
Finally, lacrosse will try to turn their season around with a set of games against Sacred Heart on March 18th and Central Connecticut State. And Joel Carrington has the lowdown on the CCS game in this week's marquee matchup.
The 0-4 women's lacrosse team faces the 0-4 CCS Blue Devils. Hello, I'm Joel Carrington, and this is the marquee matchup. On Sunday, March 20th, the women will head north versus the Central Connecticut State Blue Devils, who share the 0-4 record LaSalle is sporting right now. The Explorers have struggled this early season after a tough 2-13 opener versus Temple and negative decisions against UDEL and UMBC. But in their matchup against Robert Morris, the Explorers came close with an 11-12 loss, thanks to early offensive efforts. LaSalle was leading the Colonials going into the half, but Robert Morris responded. By the last minute of the play, the game was supposed to go into overtime with a tie until Robert Morris forced a turnover and scored the last second of a play. With luck like that, it's no wonder the lacrosse team has not ignited their season yet. But there have been a few key players who have tried to make a difference. The first is Brittany Edwards. The sophomore had 6 goals on the Robert Morris game, and in the second in the team's overall points. With a 4.38 average in her rookie season, Edwards led the freshman in points and played all 16 games of the season. Alongside her will be Caitlin Fay. The senior attacking wing leads the team in points and 5.63 average. She opens scoring for the Explorers in the season opener against Temple, tallying both points on the game. Fay is named to the Atlantic 10 Conference first team in 2015 with 45 points on the season. Her offensive and leadership are going to be in the field are going to be essential to a young team on Sunday and for the rest of the season. Though they lost in a 19-4 slaughter, the Explorers forced 9 turnovers to UMBC. It's 12. Even with a DUA offense, that kind of defensive power is a sign that a young team is learning to navigate the waves. They need to continue that climb if they're going to be in their upcoming games. But my second key is to push the midfield. Those turnovers aren't making it down to the net, and so the women are losing the ball before they can even make scoring opportunities. They need to push past up midfield in order to open up the offense. So will the women make a move this weekend? Lacrosse takes on Central Connecticut Sunday, March 20th at noon in New Britain. For SportsLine, this is Joel Carrington. Let's go, Explorers.
Thanks again, Joel. There is nothing more than I want than just lacrosse to finally, break through this slump 0-4. They're finally taking against another 0-4 team, so.
Who knows?
Yes.
We might see something really spectacular happen for that team. But switching gears a little bit, we did want to talk about close out men's basketball season, which actually I was pretty surprised at the end, towards the end of the season when we were ending up at the ends of the A10s, not the tournament, but the A10 season, because they really rallied a little bit at the end. There was the George Mason game, there was the St. Louis game, and even though we ended up going into the tournament losing against UMass, that was a lot of fun those last few days going into the tournament. That was really exciting.
The thing is, it gave me hope because, you know, like all those people that were on those teams that are shooting so consistently well. You have Schuler, Roberts, Price. Like, come on. They like when they're just raining threes like they were doing and playing such tight defense and forcing shot clock violations, it was insane to just like to be there, and especially like that St. Louis game, and even just watching Duquesne on national TV. There was nothing better than being back home and watching the LaSalle Explorers.
Yeah.
But I think as we always say it though, they'll be better next year. You know, I can really see it.
You know what, I do too. All these guys, Schuler and Roberts and Price, they're all coming back next year. So, and even Washington. So they'll all be coming back. We're definitely going to see some exciting things, I think at least, going into this. And we saw some really, really electric energy at the A10 tournament against Duquesne. That was a lot of fun to watch. I mean, there was just this moment where Jordan Price just like bumped his arms out. It was a really, really fun moment because that got out to national television.
Well, and then it culminated with Davidson. Not exactly as pretty, but yeah.
Yeah, but that just about wraps it up for us this week. If you can't make it out to see the marquee matchup, be sure to tune in next week for our coverage. Keep up with this weekend's other sporting events by visiting goexplorers.com and by following us on Twitter at SportsLineLTV. We post game updates and sneak peeks into the upcoming show.
And also check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV. We welcome you to send us your thoughts and suggestions about the show on either website.
For Joel, Kevin, and our SportsLine team, I'm Anna Gomez.
And I'm Jake Smolinski. Thanks for joining, and we will see you at the game.